Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to Roma Theory. Roma 2, Cremonese 1. Roma are on to the quarterfinals of the Coppa Italia, where we will face our cousins. I said this at the end of the live watch along. The cousins that live on the other side of the River Tiber, Lazio. That game will be played on Wednesday, but Roma and the Coppa Italia system and organization have said that the date could change. But I assume and hope it won't, because we're playing as the last team in the next Serie A game week. So hopefully we can have a bit more time, because it's a big game. It's a big game that will mean a lot for both teams. It's a big game. We all know what a derby means. A derby affects momentum. A derby affects mentality. And most importantly, a derby affects the well-being of a team. It's going to be a Lazio-Roma game. So we're playing away from home. And yeah, it's going to be something. I'm definitely looking forward to it. Cannot wait. We've got a massive game on Sunday first to continue our top four race. But I'm here to speak about this game. Look, we're qualified, and that's the most important thing. That's what you look at. We won 2-1, come back. But overall, the performance wasn't great. And I think there is a very important thing that is continuing to persist in Roma games. And this thing is very easy to see. It's very easy to tell. And you can read it from today's title. It's the fact that we're far too dependent on DYBALA, but also far too dependent on Lukaku. But we're far too dependent on Lukaku only when DYBALA plays next to him. Which kind of, again, if you narrow things down and look at the base of everything, we're far too dependent on Paulo DYBALA. Because Paulo DYBALA not only scores goals and is the only one who can create something, but DYBALA is also the player who makes Lukaku go from a national Sunday league striker to a striker who can easily be the top scorer of the Italian league. DYBALA is the magnet which changes this. DYBALA is the machine which changes this. Because of the service, because of the support that he gives towards Lukaku. And that's massive. It's massive, it's great having such a player, but as we've said multiple times, it's also worrying. Because if you can't beat a team like Cremonese without DYBALA on the pitch, it is worrying. Because we should be beating this team whilst letting DYBALA rest for 90 minutes. You know, we should, with the players we have, we should be beating this team easily without having to involve DYBALA. And you know, I've looked, I've seen some people, not when I mean some people, I mean some 1/2 people in the live watch along go, oh well, you can't expect much because the players are terrible. And that argument can be made. Of course it can be made. But that argument can only be made when we play against either Juventus, either Inter, or either Milan. You cannot even dare to say that, oh, well, we're losing this game because our players are terrible. No, because even if your players aren't great players, every single player today, from Svilar to Belotti to Asmoon to Christensen, is better than the respective player on the Cremonese side. So that's not an excuse. That can be an excuse when we face Inter. Well, you know, the quality is different. They've got better players. That's not an excuse today. The performance was successful because we qualified to the next round. The performance wasn't so convincing. If I have to be very honest with you. But again, I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining. I'm extremely happy. We've qualified. We haven't snubbed this. We haven't kind of ignored this opportunity of delving deep into the Coppa Italia. We've got a tough fixture calendar in the Coppa Italia. We've got Lazio this Wednesday. And then whoever wins, I'm not going to even mention us winning because you never do it in a derby. But if we win, we'll face Juventus. I assume Juventus are going to win against Salernitana and most probably their next round too. So it's a complicated game. It's a complicated fixture. It's a complicated calendar. Do I think we'll win Coppa Italia? No, I don't think we'll win it because I think in the long term it will burn and exhaust a lot of players. And I think Mourinho and a lot of players today would rather prefer keeping these exhaustions and these energies for Europa League. So ultimately, I don't think we'll win it, but it's always great to compete in different tournaments. It's always great having a chance to lift yet another trophy. So I'm very happy that we've proceeded, and that's what you look at. Deep down, that's what you look at. We've qualified. Lazio won 1-0 against Genoa, so they can say that their performance wasn't good enough. But let's talk about the game. I mean, the first thing which I think is key. I think it's key not only moving forward, but I think it's key also because hopefully it makes Pinto wake up a bit, is the fact that our defense right now is extremely weak. Our defense right now is extremely weak, and you can't blame them. You cannot blame Cristante for being weak because he's not a centre back. And in fact, be grateful that a player like Cristante is willing to put himself forward for the team and play in a position that doesn't represent him. Same with Celik. I don't necessarily like Celik, and you know me for a while, but I will be grateful for players that put themselves over the team. Celik isn't a centre-back, and today he played as a centre-back, and he didn't play a bad game. Christensen, in the second half, he's not a centre-back, and he played as a centre-back. So we need to be grateful for these players who are playing in positions which aren't their positions. The only real defender that we have today was Llorente, and he got subbed off after 45 minutes because he got booked. And he was a bit on fault with Cristante when it comes to that goal that we conceded, with Zadju scoring. I think it needs to ring. The bell needs to ring in Pinto's head. Yes, we only have whatever the budget is. It's not a high budget. We cannot expect big signings, and I think we all know that. But I think it is key to just get a defender in. Just get somebody in. I've said this at halftime, in the halftime reaction. I don't care who it is, but we just need somebody. We need somebody to rebalance things out. We need somebody to give some players also a chance to play back in their original positions. And in the course of today, we've been linked with the Juventus 2005 young defender Huijsen. I wouldn't mind him. He's a gamble. Yes, he is, but he's an interesting player. If everything goes to plan, you sign somebody like him, and then if you've got something else on the transfer budget, you can get somebody more experienced. The importance now is solving this defense problem, because you look at the calendar and you look at that defense today, the amount of gaps it left, the amount of confusion that it created, and it won't look good. You've got Atalanta this Sunday, and it's a game that not only you have to win, but if you win, you would get a massive jump into top 4 race. You've got a derby on Wednesday for potentially qualifying in a Coppa Italia semi-final. A derby. You are telling me that we need to play a derby with 2 out of 3 centre-backs who aren't even centre-backs, who aren't even, long defenders. We've got Milan next weekend. We have got a series of games where this defense will not resist. It will not last. I can tell you as a matter of fact, the defense that has started today is going to concede a goal in every single game that I just mentioned. And okay, then you will go, well, the most important thing is winning. And I agree. If we win 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, 2-1, I'd be the happiest man on earth. But we know Roma in big games. They limit themselves to creating chances. And that's exactly my fear. My fear is not creating chances, playing for a draw, even though we're never playing for a draw. And then, sack, we concede because our defense is weak. And that is what the problem is going to be. So, our problem needs to be solved. I really don't care who comes in. It just needs to come in. And it needs to come in by Friday so that he can play on Sunday. I'm not even exaggerating. Yes, maybe I'm wishful thinking, but it needs to be that. This game tonight Pinto shouldn't even close his eyes and go to bed tonight. Pinto needs to work on the defense all night. Call agents. Can I have him? Can I have him? Loan. No, him. Let me get him. Let me get him. All night. All night. It's a lot of time. You've got 10 hours until the sun rises. Maybe a bit less, but it's still a lot of time. You can gather good contacts, and that defender needs to come. By the way, I keep on saying the defender needs to come, and it sounds really weird. So I'm gonna start saying the defender needs to arrive, because a lot of people here think twice of what I say. Yeah, I always repeat the guy needs to come, the defender needs to come. I actually realized it doesn't sound that good as a sentence, so I'm gonna go defender needs to arrive. Um, yeah, that's problem number one, and that's a problem that needs to be solved ASAP. ASAP, lads and lasses, ASAP. Now, this weak defense thing, however, in my opinion, has also brought something positive in today's game. And this positive is change of formation. Don't get me wrong, we changed the formation because we were desperate and we needed that goal. We changed the formation because of our lack of defenders. And we ended up going from a 3-5-2 to a 4-2-3-1. Oh boy, the differences were there to be seen. We created way more. We created way more chances with a back four instead of a back three. Again, that's also because DYBALA was subbed in and Azmoun was subbed in. And in the first half, they weren't there. But in my opinion, it was a great way to see this second half. Now you ask yourself, in this period of time where we're facing big teams, and Ndika's at AFCON, Mancini isn't 100% fit, but he will be starting on Sunday. In this situation, do we change the formation? The answer is yes. But do I think it will happen? No, I don't. Because in big games, so the Sunday game, the Derby, Milan game, we know Mourinho. It's been like this for the past 3 years. He devotes more attention to the defense. And therefore, starting with a back three will devote way more attention to the defensive area of the game rather than starting with a back four. So do I think it will happen? No, I don't. Do I want it to happen? Yes, I do. I want to go back playing with a 4-2-3-1 in this period of time where we've got big games. And if it does work in this period of big games, then it should become a permanent move. Because it also restricts the defensive limits. Because you'd have to start with 2 centre backs rather than 3. So it will allow more rotations. But that was another good aspect of the game. I already spoke about how dependent we are on DYBALA. So, and I always say this, so I don't want to necessarily delve into this. I do want to give my props to Cremonese. You know me, I love fair play. Cremonese played today with no fear. Played today as if they wanted that qualification. They never really parked the bus. They always tried to hit us on breaks and counterattacks. They had their chances. They scored a goal. By the way, looking at the goal they scored, that's exactly what I mean. We need a defender. That goal, I said this in the watch along. If Ndika was there, we would not have conceded that goal. Because you know why we conceded that goal? We conceded that goal because we had 3 centre backs who, first of all, never played with each other. And second of all, when you've got 3 centre backs and 2 of them have never played as centre backs, there's a lot of confusion. So that goal is born because of a sense of confusion between Cristante, Llorente, and was it Chilik? I'm not sure, but them 3. With a defender who is a centre back and knows how to play as a centre back and has a good sense of positioning, that goal would have never come. It would have never even arrived. So that's the other thing. Player ratings. Zvilor, he really, I mean, could have done a bit better on the goal, but I don't think he's on fault. I don't think he is. I think it's not his fault. It's the defense's fault. So I'm gonna give him a 7 just because he conceded a goal, but other than that, he didn't do much. He wasn't really called to action. So Zvelor, I'm gonna give a 7. Cristante, I'm gonna give a 5 because he did not have a clue of what he was doing today. But it can't be lower than a 5 because, as I said, you gotta be grateful that you have somebody like Cristante in your team. Llorente, 5, 4, not a good game. Chilik, not a bad game. I think Chilik was the best centre back until he got subbed off. And then I think Christensen became our biggest centre back. So, Christensen, I see a lot of improvements on Christensen. I think the more he's playing, the more he's becoming solid. So, yeah, Christensen I'm liking. On the other side, Karsdorp, worst player on the pitch. Zaleski, close to worse because he can never cross a ball. Spinazzola won the penalty, so you got to give it to him. Will he be sold? Will he not be sold? It's a great question. It's a great question. I think the fact that he didn't start this game definitely means something because otherwise he would have started this game. But I think he's that player that Roma's trying to sell to increase the transfer budget. It won't be increased by much, but I think it's going to be him who's going to leave in January if the opportunity will come. Bove, good until he got subbed off. I think in the first half, Bove and Pellegrini were the best players. Pellegrini, yeah, this is where I want to get into. This is where I want to get into today. Not today. Paredes also didn't play bad. Pellegrini. Now, I know as a matter of fact, 70% of the people watching this video are going to say Pellegrini played an average, shitty game. Why is that the case? That's the case because he's coming from some terrible performances and he is the constant scapegoat of a lot of fans. So, without even thinking about this, I know that a lot of fans today will say, well, Pellegrini, get the armband away from him. He's terrible. He's woeful. He can't do anything. And they do that because they've got in their mind and in their memory, they've got this constant obsession of Pellegrini playing terrible. Pellegrini today was, I'm not going to say man of the match because man of the match is the guy who changed the game, and it's DYBALA because he made Lukaku play better and he scored the goal. But second man of the match today is Pellegrini because he was useful and he worked for the team and he was valid. But I know that a lot of fans won't accept this and will not say this because they can't say this because they've got this agenda against Pellegrini. And I know that a lot of fans won't say this, but I will be the first one to say this. Pellegrini had a good game today. So if that, again, this is my opinion. Everybody can think whatever they need, but whatever they want. But yeah, I think Pellegrini, it's one of those games where I think he played well, but he won't get enough credit. It's one of those games where if Pastore back with Di Francesco played Pellegrini's game today, everybody would have gone, oh, what a great game from Pastore. Let's keep him. He can be useful for this team. It's that game. It's that game that an average player who isn't a Roma captain will get all the gratitude from Roma fans, but due to the fact that he's the captain and that he's been a questionable captain for the past months and that he hasn't been playing well for the past months, he's going to be targeted and fans won't show the real side to Pellegrini's game. So that's the thing. And then up front, Up front, Belotti missed a sitter. People will say Pellegrini missed a sitter, and Pellegrini did miss a good chance, but Belotti's chance was a bigger miss than Pellegrini's chance, in my opinion. And then Dybala, Lukaku changed the game. It's always the same. It's crazy how Dybala changed the game, but I don't think he played phenomenally today. I think he missed a lot of things. I think he didn't play a great game, but it's Dybala, and he changes you the game, even if he's not 100% fit, and even if he doesn't hit his day, Dybala will change things. Because realistically speaking, if Dybala hadn't scored that penalty, nobody here would have given a fair play to Dybala's performance. Rightly so, because Dybala didn't play a massive game, but due to the fact that he makes Lukaku play better, and due to the fact that he scored a penalty, Dybala has to be man of the match. And we're far too dependent on him. I've said this already, I don't want to say this again. So yeah, the Pellegrini free kick gave me Roma versus Lazio vibes. Definitely. Maybe he can do it on Wednesday. Who knows? But those are my substitutions were on top point today. So fair play to Jose too. I mean, looking at the Coppa Italia picture. Looking at the Coppa Italia picture, Bologna are playing Fiorentina in the quarterfinals. Atalanta are playing Milan in the quarterfinals. Roma, Lazio, and one between Juventus and Salernitana with Frosinone. It's most probably going to be Juventus. We've got some great quarterfinals. Bologna, Fiorentina is a very equal one. Atalanta, Milan is a good equal one. Roma, Lazio is a good equal one. Juventus, Frosinone. It's not going to be an equal one. I think Juventus are going to win. But you never know with Frosinone. They're a weird team. Great Coppa Italia. Tough, but now we definitely cannot lose, because losing the next Coppa Italia game would mean losing a derby. And we cannot lose the derby, because the derby is the derby, my dear friends. Christensen is living an amazing moment indeed. Belotti, Pellegrini, Elsha, and sometimes Spina. These are players who are way better when coming from the bench. I have to agree with you. Do you have school in the morning? Technically I do, but my Christmas holidays are on. They finish the 8th of January, so I still have quite a few days. But what do we think? What do we think of this of the game? Was it a good one? Did we like it? And all of that. There was one last thing that I wanted to mention, which was yeah. Look, I'm looking at post-match interviews, and Dybala said we underestimated Cremonese. We are not gonna think about Lazio as of now, and that's the truth. We underestimated Cremonese because this team would have scored more goals in the first half otherwise. In 6 days we'll be facing Lazio. Do you think we'll be ready by then? Just like Dybala just said, I have to be honest with you, I don't care about Lazio now, because Sunday we have a vital game. And that's probably the problem of facing Lazio on Wednesday. The problem is going to be exactly this. The problem will be underestimating Sunday's game. Sunday's game is even more important than Wednesday's game against Lazio. So it needs to be dealt with extreme. Because Atalanta also living a great moment of form. Caution and concentration. So yeah. Zvelar is better than Rui. Thoughts? He has been playing better than Rui lately. I have to be honest. Can you comment on Roma approaching Xavi Alonso? It's not gonna happen. So I'm not even gonna comment on it, mate. It's not gonna happen. I mean, we can speak about managers, but as of today, the 3rd of January, my solution will forever be Mourinho. I mean, have we all seen when DYBALA scored that goal? In a, it was Wednesday evening, Coppa Italia against Cremonese. DYBALA scored a goal. Mourinho was about to cry. Apparently, I've been told by a friend, and I've read online, I wasn't at the stadium today, that when the warm-up was going, the entire stadium had a massive kind of aura for Mourinho. The solution now is Mourinho. The solution now is Mourinho. And look, the performance can be better, and the performance needs to be better against the Cremonese side. But what can Mourinho do if 2 out of 3 centre-backs today were not even defenders? The performance can be better. And I will always say that. You know, this game, we should have won 2-0, 3-0, even with the players we had, because it was Cremonese. But if you don't have defenders, you can't defend. It's as simple as that. Very simple. Very, very simple. That's exactly why we need to wake up in the transfer window. And I am hoping, praying that something happens in these next hours. So yeah, that is it. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I am gonna leave it. If you do... Wait, sorry, let me read a few comments first though. That free kick from Pellegrini gave me Roma Lazio vibes, definitely. You're not too dependent on DYBALA when the team has no money. He does a job like Osimhen and Kvara at Napoli. No. I agree. That's what a football player needs to do. He needs to do the job. So I'm not saying that DYBALA isn't, and it's wrong to be over dependent on DYBALA, but it's also wrong to not see that this team is extremely dependent on DYBALA, and that a game like this, I hope all of us agree that we should be winning even without DYBALA on the pitch. So yes, it's great to have a player that changes games, and that's his job. He needs to score goals. But it is also worrying seeing how injury prone it is. Because a day that he won't be there, and we've seen this happen a lot of times, what happens? Are we going to lose every game? That can't be the solution. So that's definitely something to consider. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I have enjoyed it. Please do smash a like. It supports the channel, video, and everybody here a lot. So yeah, before ending the stream, before leaving the stream, if you're watching this non-live, to hit the like. It supports a lot. Subscribe to the channel. And yeah, talk to you very soon tomorrow with more transfer news. If I have the clips and all of that, the fan forum will go out in a bit. Otherwise, if the clips are delayed and all of that, fan forum will go out tomorrow. Bring the derby on. Roma 2, Cremonese 1. Coppa Italia debut successful. Derby on Wednesday, but first we've got Atalanta on Sunday. Talk to you soon. Have a good evening. I enjoyed it, and talk to you very, very soon. See you all out.